Hello, my name is Claire Brown, and I teach kindergarten at Mayflower Mill Elementary, and I'm excited that you are here to learn about Google Slides and Jamboard. So let's get down with Slides and Jamboard. I want to first talk to you about what you're going to learn today, or at least what I hope you're going to learn today. I want you, it's over this way. There we go, over this way. I want you to learn how to create your own interactive Jamboards. I want you to learn how to link your Google Slides and your Jamboards together. I want you to learn how to create something in Google Slides and then move it to Jamboard. I want you to learn how to force Jamboard to make a copy so you don't have to share Jamboards with all of your students, or you don't necessarily have to go via Google Classroom. And how to add links on slides to connect to Jamboard and other things. Something you will need. I want you to have an I can try new things affirmation. Say that with me. Say, I can try new things. I can try new things. I can try new things. Awesome. And I need you to have a laptop connected to your Google Drive. An option would be to have a student iPad so that you can test some of your creations. That's only if you wish to test some of your creations in the student format view. And be thinking of some skills or standards, some ideas of things that you would like for your students to review or have extra practice with, and gain some ideas on something you can create for your kids. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Ready? Here we go. We're going to start with Jamboard. I want to talk to you real quick a little bit about Jamboard. So Jamboard, when it was first created, I think, and it probably still, creators are hoping this, they want it to be more of like an interactive thing, like between the teacher and the students. Well, I've never done it that way. Shh, don't tell them. They kind of want it where like the teacher's teaching, the kids are doing it with him or her, and they're kind of interacting together. I think that would be great. It just doesn't really flow well in my classroom, so I don't teach it that way. I use Jamboard more as a review tool in a way that they can create and some things like that. So if you've used Jamboard in that way, high fives to you. That is awesome. Moving on. Let's see. I want to show you some of my favorite features of Jamboard. So I'm going to click on this and go into Jamboard. Some of you may have used Jamboard before, and that is awesome. Some of you may have not. So I'm going to pretend that you have not used it before. So over here is kind of all the tools. So there's a pen. So if you click on this, there's a pen tool, a marker, a highlighter, and a paint tool, and some color options. There aren't a lot of color options, which is kind of a bummer, but there are some color options. My guess is that it's constantly evolving, and I'm sure they're going to come up with more color options at some point. I think they want it to stay basic, but my guess is they will probably add some more. The eraser tool, this select tool is very huge. This one my students use all of the time, the select tool. The sticky notes, it's fun, it's interactive. I usually use the sticky notes for my creations. Adding an image, something again I use when I create the Jamboards. Shapes, something I use when I create, and text box sometimes. The laser, I don't really use that often. Up here, the undo button is a very important one. On the iPad, the undo button is towards the bottom. So it is important for them to see that because they may move something around and they need it to go back and they're not sure how, or maybe somehow they got it smaller or they just messed it up. So I always show them the undo button. This is just to fill different shapes, different colors, that kind of thing. One thing that I love, and I think they changed this feature back in about January, I don't remember, sometime, that they allowed us to choose our own image for the background. Yeah, they used to not let us. And if you've never used Jamboard, you're lucky that you didn't even know this. But they had these dots. Okay, these were all great background choices and everything, but when I'm wanting it to be appealing to my kindergartners or mostly any individual, these are not things I want to see. So they were able to where you can add your own image. So here are some options. It's just like on Google Slides where you can add an image to your background. If you don't know what that is, Now you're going to know. You can upload your own picture from your desktop, your computer, your drive. You can take a URL from another website. You can take a picture with your camera, a Google image search, something from your Google Drive or Google Photos. One of my favorite things to do is just Google image search. Again, this is when I'm creating. I don't really let my students, they don't really know anything about this, about making their own Google image search. So let's say that week is farm week and I want to find a farm as my background for whatever activity I'm doing. So I just typed in farm, I clicked on this farm, and now I'm going to set that frame as my background. Once it's set as my background, that's just it. That's my background. I can now put pictures on top, text on top, whatever I want. It all goes on top of this. They cannot manipulate the background. They cannot change it in any way. That's why a lot of times I create my backgrounds in Google Slide. I hope I'm not going too fast. I apologize. It's kind of hard when I'm recording this and I don't know how fast I'm going. Anyways, I'll try and slow down. So when I create my backgrounds in Google Slides, I'm able to add boxes or put images in spots or words in spots that I don't want moved, okay? And so when I create those in Google Slides, I then save them as an image, and then I put them in my Google Jamboard. So that is something that I'm going to show you in a little bit. But these were just some of the main features I wanted to show you that are within Jamboard. A couple other things, the Jamboard can have multiple pages. So if you're familiar with like Book Creator, it's similar to that where you can click and it can go to multiple pages. Something else you can do, so I'm going to go back to that first page. If I click this little arrow, it shows me all the pages in my document that I've created. I can move them around. I can click this little dot and say duplicate the page. So if I want the page to be the same over and over, I can do that. I can delete a page. And it's kind of cool to be able to have that as an option so that I can kind of see the whole thing without clicking through every single arrow. So these are pretty much the main features. So I do want to show you, like, let's say I wanted to add a cow clip art picture. What one? This guy looks pretty cute. So I'm going to move that over so you can see. Now I just added this cow. Here he is. I can make the cow bigger by dragging the blue dot. And I could duplicate him or delete him. There is an order option, so if there were other images on here, I could put him in front or behind. So let's say I wanted to add in a shape. Let's just add in this shape. And if I want the kids to sort, maybe we're sorting by farm animal. So I want them to put all the cows up there. That's not really a lesson I would probably do, but maybe. Now look, if they move it up and it's back, that's not going to work. So I'm going to make sure that this is bring to the front and now they can move it forward. So if you have words or letters that you're manipulating around and if you keep seeing it going behind something, you just want to change the order. This is another example of sometimes why I create my backgrounds in Google Slides, because if I add this in here, it is something that can then be manipulated and moved. And if I want that rectangle there forever and to not change, I would just make this in Google Slides, save it as an image, and then upload it as my background. So that is that. I do want to go back to my slide set here, and I want to talk to you about, let me make my picture a little smaller here. I want to talk to you about some of my favorite jams that I have made this year. I have made lots of them. So it was kind of hard to choose just some, but if you take a look, I tried to pick some that were different from each other. I tried to pick several in different subject areas. So this one was a game that they could play, the sight word hop along. This is retelling a story or creating their own story. This is a word building magnetic kind of board activity. This is where they're practicing sight words. This is a science, parts of the apple, building words, and math subtraction stories. So I'm going to open these up and we're going to go through some of them. I'm not going to bore you by doing the full lesson, but I am going to go to them because I think it's beneficial to see some of these ideas. So for example, this whole background here is not set in place. Why? Because I made this in like October before they changed the background. So I probably should fix that. Anyways, in this game, my students take my Bitmoji, start, and hop at each sight word. That's all they do. But what I did was I made this background in Google Slides. So it took a little while to make it, of course, but it was just making some shapes and adding in some word art in there and changing the colors. But once I did all of that, I can now add that in as a background image, and my students can play the sight word hop along game. They could work as a partner. They could do it by themselves. They could physically be holding a dice, roll the dice. They get a 2. We can hop 1, 2. I'm going to read it can. My partner rolls. You could have 2 Bitmojis on there. You could have 2 just images, 2 game pieces, whatever you might want, and have your friends go back and forth together, and they can go around. So that is one called Sight Word Hop Along. Let me go back now to this one. This was another one of my favorite Jamboards. This is ABC Magnet. This is the only slide set I have for it. My students take the words that they're working on, their word list, whether it's their sight word list or a word family list or a spelling list, whatever your kids are working on, and they build it. It's just kind of like a magnetic board of letters for them. So let's say they're doing the at family. So they would pull up at mat. Now, here's where they might have trouble getting the letters back. They could click the undo and it pops right back, or with that T up there, they could drag it right back down. Another thing that I've noticed, sometimes if a kid makes the letters too big or too small, that kind of throws them off a little bit because an image they can change. So then I just teach them the undo button so that it goes back to the size they want. Because when they're manipulating things with their fingers on the iPads, it can mess things up. So what I did in this situation was I again created this in Google Slides. I think I found the background on something. So I don't sell any of these things because of all the copyright issues with images and all that kind of stuff. So if you want any of these things, let me know and I'll be happy to share. The letters, I think I just took clip art letters and I just snipped them. It took a hot minute to get all this done, but once it's done, it's done. It's in a digital format. You can use it for years and years and years. So this was kind of a word work option. When my kids go to word work or go to iPad choice, they can choose to work with words. Let's see, here was my interactive story. It's kind of similar to what I just created, but this is a farm story. So my students love their imagination. I hope yours do too. And I either find, I usually have a creation story as an option on my weekly choice boards. I almost always do that. What I love about this option is they can create their own story, and they have so much fun creating the story. The other thing is I can have a retell of a story. So I could pick characters from a book we worked on that week, like Little Red Hen or a Pete the Cat story or whatever you guys are working on. And you could find those images of those characters and place them in here. You could even add multiple pages, and they could have the characters at the beginning of the story, the characters in the middle, the characters at the end. And there's I don't necessarily grade these. This is kind of just their own interactive, independent work time. During remote learning, I did grade them though. So what I had them do was I had them screen record. Now I did not see their faces, but I did hear their voices. So I had them screen record on their iPad. And that's probably another presentation, but I could show you how to do that, or Sarah or Chad or Devin or any of them could show you how to screen record your iPad so the kids could upload their own story of retelling or working on a math problem or whatever. So that's something I did have them do. Let's take a look at a few of my other Jamboards. This is a sight word of the week. So we do 2 sight words a week. You could do this with vocabulary words or whatever. And this is something that I have in Google Slides that we do whole group. And then I've put it into a Jamboard so they can do what we did whole group as independent work. So they'll go through the slide set, and we do this all whole group, say and spell it. We're going to body spell, and it's so fun. I can see my kids, like when I'm working with a reading group, I can look over and I know they're doing this Jamboard because they're over there doing the Suphonics, building their words or acting it out, body spell. And then I see them skywriting it. So it's interactive, but not. This one, I have a tool here that says they need to use the highlight tool. So they'll go to the highlight. Oh, that's the marker. The highlight tool. And they'll go through and find the word now. And then once they've done that and they go to the next page, they can check to make sure they found all of them. And then I have where they can go back to the tool. They can find it on here. So just a lot of different ways where they practice with the word. I have where they can practice just a worksheet that I have. I know that's not super ideal, but it is something that I have for them to do. They use the pen tool and they can work it out on that. Let's see. I hope I'm not boring you with all these. But another one, here's a science one. I use this one during remote learning, parts of an apple. I created this one, I think, primarily in Jamboard because this was before Jamboard had many other features. So these are the parts of an apple. Talk about the parts. And again, my students, I'm sure when I posted this assignment, I had a recording of myself or a video where they watched to learn about the parts of the apple first. And then this was something they finished afterwards and shared with me. So then they take the labels and they move them over to where it matches. So that was something very easy that I had them finish and turn back into me on Google Classroom during remote learning. Let's see here. Here's a build a word activity. All of these, they're starting to kind of flow together, just how they're made and how they're manipulated. So this one, so this, they just build the word. I have 2 sets of that, so they can check it and then go back. And it helps them just kind of keep track of their words that they're building. This was kind of a review one because it's jet, cat, mop, pig, tub, not all the same word family. I think this is our last one, Subtraction Stories. And I just thought of another one that I want to show you. So I may have to go out of my presentation and find it. So Subtraction Stories, this is something we kind of talked about here later in the spring semester. This, again, was a Google slide that I had up when I was teaching about subtraction stories. So they saw this multiple times before I put it into an independent workstation. And I actually think this was a assignment. I had a couple of students that were quarantined for maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks, something, whatever their time limit was. And it was kind of a crucial time, so I knew they needed some subtraction stories. So this is what they did to practice. So they obviously needed an adult to probably help them because of the wording. But again, it was 6 pigs were playing in the mud. 2 pigs got out of the mud. How many pigs were left in the mud? So they could always delete 2 to find out their answer. They could physically mark 2 out to find out their answer and write that 4 were left, that kind of thing. But I had multiple slides practicing the subtraction stories. So, like I said, I did think of something else I wanted to share real quick. So I'm going to go into my Google Drive and see if I can find it. It was, oh shoot, where is it? There's my iPad weekly work. And sight word work, let's see. So this is something that, and I'm kind of skipping ahead, and I apologize, but this is something that I created in Google Slides. So, and I just did this here at the end of the year, so it only has the 2 words on it, but I'm going to create for all of them. So I created this in Google Slides, and then I went to File, download as a JPEG. And then when I did that, I was able to upload it into a Jamboard. So this will look similar to that now Jamboard, but I want you to see how I added, let's see, let me go all the way over here. Okay, so I added this at the very end, and so they can't do anything with any of this. However, they can select this to move just over the words that they're supposed to. So that was something that was very simple to create using images in Google. Here, I just used the Google Shapes to create most of this. And I used the background option, the choose an image background, and then saved it all as an image and put it in here. So I hope this is not super overwhelming to you. I'm sure it is. Absolutely. I'm sure it absolutely is. However, if you give yourself small increments of time and ideas and just work small, and like I said, work smarter, not harder. A lot of these are things that I already had as Google Slides, and I figured out how to adapt them as a Jamboard. Again, I have several things here that are all over the place. And I'm going to give you some time to think on these, and then I'm going to come back with something else. All right, let's now go to Google Slides. So if you remember, I said I was going to talk to you about Jamboard and Google Slides, and then how I kind of put the two together. So I have something here called choice boards, okay? My students use these choice boards during their iPad time, and what I love about these choice boards is I can control where they go and what they're doing. And one reason why I chose to start choice boards was because I wasn't finding apps that were on the iPads that were doing what I needed them to do and what skills I wanted them to do. So I'm going to show you kind of what I do with choice boards, but I'm also going to show you how I kind of run my daily lessons, like my whole day based around Google Slides. And I am not sure if this is something that lots of you do or not. I have no idea. So I'm actually going to do that first. So here is an example of my daily lesson plans. So this is just an example. So I'm going to go into present mode for this. And this is something that I would have on the screen when my students walk in the door. Let me move my picture over here. So obviously the slide set that's up right now is an ocean slide set, because maybe what we were learning that week was all about the ocean. So just some things I have up here for my kids that are ready. My kids that have to shop for new books. I have the date. I do something called coffee talk, and all my kids come up there for that. Because of our COVID regulations, I have half the kids are at tables that day and half the kids are at their sit spots. Another thing is half the kids for 1 week are on iPads in the morning, and the other half are using their morning tubs and then sanitize in between. So my kids that are on iPads, they get some extra iPad sight word practice by scanning this QR code, and it goes to this Google slide right here. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So it goes to this Google slide, and when they go to this Google slide and they click on one of these, so they're on their iPad. Let me paint this picture for you. They're on their iPad. They take it up. They find the camera app. They go like this to my big screen, that big whiteboard over there. They scan that. And when they scan that QR code, it goes to this Google slide. Okay. Now that might be blowing your mind. You may not know how that works, or you may be thinking, yeah, I got this. I do QR codes all the time to my Google Slides, which is awesome. And when they open it up, I've linked all of these to videos I have created to practice their sight words. So their sight words, we at Mayflower do something called rainbow words. I'm sure everybody, there's like popcorn words. One of my friends at another school does gummy bear words. So it's basically just kind of the way you group your words. So the red, orange, yellow, green, and then at the end, they're a rainbow reader. So depending on what level the student is on, let's say they're on the green list. So they will click on the green, and on an iPad, this little thing doesn't pop up underneath. In fact, it would look more like this in present mode. They would click on the green and it automatically takes them to a video or they can hit play. And I just did this video for them, same way I'm doing this right now, a screencastify of a slideshow that has all of our things on it. So, hi, green list. Here we go. Let's see if you can read the words before me. Okay, so we're not going to watch that whole thing, but it's a, let me mute it. So it's a video where it goes through and I click through the slides. So anyways, so I'm going to get out of that real quick. So this is something that they have up on the board and how you can interact to Google Slides. I then have it so they can click on a crayon, make a copy of a Jamboard activity, and they can go practice their sight words. This one is a rainbow write of their green list words. So that's something I have for them every day. Let's keep going. Oh, goodness. I don't need that. So anyways, I just kind of wanted you to see, I'm going to click out of this so it's not the full presentation, but I just wanted you to see how we kind of go through our day and it kind of keeps me going. At this point, I'm in my morning greeting. How are they feeling? Student of the week. My morning message is digital every day. Then we do some words. I really wanted to get to, oh, here's a brain break. They're always, I plan them in every week. So I'm not in my computer searching things. They're just planned in every week. This is what I wanted to show you on how I have them use their choice boards. So I have all the kids broken up into their spots. So like these 4 kids go to read to self. These 4 kids go to work on writing. These 4 go to build a story. These 4 go to word work. These ones are in a reading group with me, and these ones are going to iPad that round. Rotation 1, I have a timer on there, so it keeps me and them under 15 minutes. Here's where they scan this QR code. So they scan the QR code again, and when they scan this QR code, it takes them to this choice board. Okay, so are you kind of seeing how I'm matching these things together? Let's hope. Let me get back over here and I'm going to go to that choice board so you can see what it looks like. Here's the ocean choice board. They can pick any of these choices. A lot of times I might have 2 different choice boards available for the week, and I usually take this game off at the beginning of the week, and I add it about Thursday and then on Thursday and Friday, because otherwise they're going to want to play the game all the time, which I understand. So on this particular choice board, some of the options that they click on, I have that Art for Kids hub, and they're practicing drawing a crab. This one is a video of a coral reef, exploring the coral reef. Here is a Jamboard retelling story, interactive story that I kind of showed you something about. Here is an epic video of a book on epic for Ocean Day. These are linked to those 2 sight word Jamboards, and then this one is linked. These are linked to sight word videos on YouTube, and this is linked to a Jamboard as well. So when they click on this in present mode, they go to that thing. So like if they were to go to this, okay, so they're in present mode on their iPad, and they're to click on this, it will open up right to this video, and they learn how to draw a crab. And that's what they're doing that day in that choice board. Or they open up Ocean Day, and now they're going to listen to me help or like go through a story with them on Ocean Day. This one opens up to Jamboard. It'll force make a copy so that they're not messing up anyone else's Jamboard of that document. And it's a word family practice, so they'll select and they'll build the word. Okay, so they see that that's at, and I have multiple pages of that. So this is their ocean choice board. And like I said, this is something that I have every week, and sometimes the options change and sometimes they don't. So for example, this was our Zoo Week choice board. So they really love those Art for Kid hubs. For this group of kids in my class, really love it. And I think part of it is they enjoy that they're fairly successful when they draw something that they didn't think they could do. And I don't know if your kids are like my kids, but in writing time, their illustrations, sometimes they get pretty frustrated. So I did want to show you two other things I created in Google Slides. Again, I am sure I am zooming through this, but we only have a small amount of time and I have so much information I want to share. So here is a Google slide that I created for a sight word review, and some of the components to it, let me move my picture over here. Some of the components to it are areas where when you click on a word or an arrow, it goes to a specific slide. And that is for a whole nother day if I am going to teach you how to connect images and words and slides to other slides in your slide set. I would love to teach you that. But this one, so if they click the word give, like if I was in present mode, they would click the word give and it would go to this page. And I have a voice recording of myself that says, find the word give. And if they click on give, it'll go to great job. If they click on he, it'll go to oops, go back and try again. And so it is an interactive kind of review game for them. Another thing I have used Google Slides for is this compound words activity. And it's the same thing. I'll show you. It's the same thing where, so compound words, it's kind of like a way to create a game where there's no app out there that is teaching the skill you want them to practice. Like I couldn't find a compound word that an app that I could get easily downloaded and work. So I created one myself. So if you go to the next and then put the words together, rain plus coat equals, and they choose raincoat or rainbow. So I'm going to show you what happens when I choose rainbow. It tells me it's wrong. So then I'm going to choose raincoat. Good job. And then now I click next. And it goes through all of those just like that. So those are the way you connect that. Let me show you real quick. So I can click on the image that I want it to be, and you go up here to insert link, and you can choose what slide in the presentation you want it to go to and hit apply. You can also link these things to other websites. And that's kind of how I've linked these. So when I click on this, the image is actually linked to my Google Slide URL. I hope that makes sense. So that is all about some ways I use Google Slides by themselves, how I use Google Slides to interact the two together. I hope you're feeling like you can breathe a little. I hope you're feeling a little inspired, and I hope you're getting excited. All right, let's take a deep breath. Let's do a rainbow breath. Here we go. All right, Google Slides plus Jamboard. That's basically what I just talked about and how I'm using my Google Slides and my choice boards and all of that together. But I just want you to take a minute here. I want you to think about what are some things you want to know about Google Slides, okay? Do you want to know just how to even add a background? Do you want to know how to link a slide to another slide? How to link an image to another image so they pop back and forth so they're more interactive? Do you want to know how to create kind of a background, save it as an image, and put it into Jamboard? Think about these things. I am here to help you. I want you to be able to do this. I want you to be thinking about what are some skills? What are some standards that my kids could use some extra work on? Some things that they can independently do and build some confidence with. Think about things where your students maybe are struggling with, and being able to create kind of a game for them is pretty powerful. So I just want you to think about that and take a minute to just try to think about what you know and what you don't know when it comes to these two apps, because I want to be able to help you. Moving on. I do know that with everything, there are interruptions. iPads can be stressful. When you are doing something and you thought, I just came up with this amazing lesson, I think this lesson is going to just knock their socks off. And I introduced it, and there they go. And then within like 10 seconds, they're back at you going, it's frozen. It won't let me in. The link doesn't work. And you're about to just say, forget it, put the iPads away. I tried and it's not going to work. Yes, this happens. So I wanted to, and it happens to all of us. It happens to me. It happens to me even after I'm about to tell you some of these helpful tips for minimal interruptions. However, some of these tips should help you. And since I created this, I think a few things have changed with technology and the way they're sign in. So a couple of things I want you to focus on are the settings and the iPad. Now, there's a little bit of legwork when you get your iPads to set these up for success, but once you set them up, you should not have to do it again. So one thing is to go to their iPad settings. So in the iPad, you go to this app settings. Go down to General and go to Keyboard. Okay? iPad settings, General, Keyboard. Okay? Once you're in that, you go to Text Replacement. Now, if your students are anything like my students, they're not going to remember the full at tsc.k12 or .students, whatever it is, at tsc students. I can't even remember it clearly. And they're not going to remember ZRQPS21. It's just not going to happen. It's going to take us a while to get to that point. So what I do is after you go to text replacement, I type in the shortcut for the student's email, and then I give it a phrase like the beginning of their first name, so they can type in a B. You could also just everybody's a 1. So every time you hit a 1 on their iPad, when like their password thing pops up, it always just goes in because it's their own iPad. So it's going to be with whatever shortcut you put with it. I was just doing the kid's first name so that they can maybe remember to do that as well. Here's the trick though. For some reason, and maybe Chad or Sarah or someone else can help with this. Do you see how I have on here the phrase was B and the shortcut was his email? Sometimes I have to flip those, and I don't know why. So I'm not the guru genius when it comes to this. There have been times that I set it up just like this, and I go in and I go to like automatically put their stuff in, and it's not working, and I go back and I just flip the things and I put the phrase B down here and the email up there, and it works. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Someone might be able to tell you the difference, but that's just a little tip for you. So if it doesn't work this way, flip them. The next thing is, so it'll show you right here that that's the option. So the next thing is you're still in iPad settings, and you go back to the main thing and you go down to passwords. So when you go to passwords, you want to go to Autofill Password. So if you look back this way, let me go back. I clicked on this. These are just images. So I clicked on this where it says Autofill Passwords, and I clicked that green button so it autofills their password. I clicked on Keychain, and I don't think you need to click on Chrome. Again, I'm not a genius when it comes to this, but if you click on that, then you just like kind of cancel it out. I don't know why, but the keychain is the important one. Once you do that, then the next time they go to sign in to Google. So do you see up here? He was already signed in up here, but for some reason, and Chad was here trying to help me, it was still asking them to sign in right there, and I was about to lose my mind. So anyways, so when we signed in this way, and I already had done those background steps, I went to the settings and I added all those things in, and this pops up. All I had to do was enter in that letter B. Boop, it autofills his email, click next, then boop, up pops that keychain, and it adds in the password. That's it. And then they're boom in. And once they've done it that way, I've only had maybe a handful of kids that have somehow gotten logged back out, but their stuff is all saved in. And so I'm in the middle of my reading group doing my thing. I see they walk up. I literally hit the first letter of their name, click next, minimal interruptions. That's probably the biggest interruption I've had is this situation, the sign-in situation. All right. Let's put some stuff together here. So we talked about Google Slides and Google Jamboard. Now I'm going to kind of show you how I have the kids force a copy. Well, they don't do it. I make it so it forces a copy of the Jamboard for them. I was having a lot of issues when I was doing Google or remote learning. I use Google Classroom a lot. In my classroom, Google Classroom doesn't seem to be as user-friendly for the kids, and I hope that changes soon, but it's just not easy for them to kind of manipulate or whatever. But at home, when they have an adult around, it wasn't that hard to do, and it was easy to push things out on. But in my classroom, I have them, like I showed you, scan the QR code to go to a Google slide choice board, and then it has all the things on it. But because of that, if they were to click a Jamboard and it would open up, it would open up and they would all be using the same one. And I don't want them to do that because if a kid uses one already, then it's done before they get it. So I want to show you how I force make a copy. So here are just a few of the Jamboards I have, and this week is a race week. So here's what the Jamboard looks like. I have them just building a race car, end of the year, they're building a race car. But I want you to see how when I go click share, I make sure that anyone on the internet with the link can do it because, like I said, I'm not too concerned about people taking this. Again, this is something I made in Google Slides. If I go back and show you, like here, I made it in a Google slide, and then I saved, where is it? I saved this background as an image. So then I just put the pieces as images so they can build the race car. Anyways, that's not what I'm trying to teach you. So I'm trying to teach you how to make it force a copy. And there could be a super simpler way than this, but what I do is I go to share and I copy the link, okay? So then when I go to a new tab and paste the link like this, I do not click enter yet. Don't click enter yet because it's just going to pop it up. See this word edit? I double click it so that it's highlighted, just the word edit, and then I type in copy. Then I copy and paste that, so highlight the whole thing, control copy, and then I hit enter just to make sure. Boom, there it is. And that's the link that I put on my choice board. So there's an animal choice board. Here's race week. So that link that I have right now in my copy, I have it down here and I saved it as an image, or I linked it by clicking on this image. If you remember, let me hide myself here a little bit. If you remember, I click, okay, let me take it off. Oh, where did it go? Okay, so I'm going to delete it right now. Okay, so I have this image, build a race car. I just snipped the top of this. I just snipped that as my image and put it on my choice board there. Now I've clicked that image. I go to insert link and I'm going to paste that link in there and apply. So now when the students open this Google slide up onto their iPad, they click on that and it takes them right to this, but it takes it to them and they have to force make a copy so they get their own. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. A second thing I wanted to show you was, for example, how I add these YouTube links in here and how I have it so it just pops up the YouTube link without all of these things on the side, all these ads. Nobody wants those ads because then the kids are going to be bopping around on all those ads. So what I do for that, and again, I found all of this like just searching Google to find out how to do this stuff. So how did I come up with this? Up here again in the URL bar, right after the word watch. So in between the word watch and the question mark, you put your cursor there. Then you hit shift and do the underscore, write the word pop up, hit enter. And once you do that, it might take a minute, my YouTube's been crazy. There it is as a pop-up with nothing else. You can copy the link right here. I usually, just to make sure, I just go straight up to the link right there. I copy it and then I paste it as with an image that matches with the YouTube video. So when they click on it, it just goes to that and they can't go to anything else. So I hope this helps you. I am so excited to find out how you feel. Let me clean some of this up here. How you feel about Google Slides and Jamboard. How you feel about adding some of this in. And yeah, so let's go back to the very first one and let's make sure we hit all of our areas here. Did you learn how to create some Jamboards? Yes. Did you learn how to link your slides and your Jamboard? Sure did. Did you learn how to create in your Google Slides and add it into Jamboard? Whoop, whoop, we sure did. And then I just showed you how to force Jamboards to make a copy and how to add links on the slides to connect to Jamboard and other apps like your YouTube. I am pumped for you. I hope you are ready to try this. And I can't wait to hear some of your questions. I can't wait to see some of your creations. I can't wait to hopefully use some of your creations. We will share some things. And thank you guys so much for being here. Have a great day. I don't know what day this is in the summer, to be honest. So have a great day, whatever day it is you're watching this. Bye.